We have the common interest of seeing the possibility that exists for us as human beings and understanding the importance and the value of practicing meditation as a way to come out of the state of mind that most people live their lives in, to let go of what we have tried to hold on to that can't be held on to stop resisting what we attempt to avoid that can't be avoided, and to discover that our true nature can be present to life as life is, and can be in acceptance of life as life is. And in that context, when we're faced with the challenges that will come, and we're faced with the moods that will come, and we're faced with the states of mind that will come, I appreciate the fact that there will be times that are difficult times, when your body hurts, when you're tired, when you feel frustrated, when you feel fearful, when you consider what may happen in the future, or when you remember what's happened in the past, and you worry. These are the natural parts of the human experience. But what we're talking about here is, even when that's the case, given the context that this is, it's an opportunity to practice being the awareness that you are, experiencing being able to be present to what shows up, knowing about impermanence, and knowing that whatever it is that appears will disappear, except for you. And so I think it's very important, and I brought this up in the past, but I want to keep bringing it up, because in this process of awakening, it is critical that you are able to sense the experience of self. It's critical that you're able to sense the awareness that is what you are. That's one of the reasons why the invitation that we practiced in the past is valuable. And it's something that I think, if you're uncertain of your true nature, if you're not clear that you have an experience of it, then give yourself the opportunity to pay specific attention to the possibility of having this experience, because without the conviction of this experience, without the conviction of your own authority, the authority of your own experience, that you will continue to simply hold this idea of who you are as awareness as a concept, and it cannot fulfill its potential that way. You cannot fulfill the possibility of experiencing the peace that's available as this awareness if you only know this awareness conceptually. So there are ways to do that. The invitation is one way, because in the invitation, what's being talked about there is that if you put aside everything that you can come up with, your fantasies, your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, the past, the future, if you put aside everything that you can come up with, that it's possible to notice that you're still here, that you are always here. That's the constant, that's always the case, that you are always here. And the you that is always here is the awareness of what's happening. And that's why I say to people when they say to me, well, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling, but I don't have the experience of being consciousness itself. And when that is said, I often say, how do you know that? And if you look, the answer to that question is, you know that because of awareness. You're aware of that. So the awareness is always the case. It's always there. But our attention has been hypnotically put in the thought process. So that for most people, all that exists is thinking, feeling, believing what is believed, and continuing to live in the limited world and limited reality of the thought process, of the identity of being a person and the identity of being a physical body. And so if it's not clear to you, if it's not evident to you that you can sense yourself, Paul Hederman talks about this by saying, if you can see what you're not, right, then the sense of yourself is available to you because that's what's looking. If you can see what you're not, then the sense of yourself is available because that's what's looking. Or that other famous saying, you know, when you're searching, what you're looking for is what's looking. All these are ways to point to this experience that is a very subtle experience because it's more subtle than anything else. Breathing is a subtle experience. We don't pay attention to the breath normally until we intentionally focus on it, then we notice it. But it's not that hard to notice because the breath moves. You know, the lungs move. Awareness doesn't move. It has no form, it has no shape. And therefore, it is not like anything else. You can't see it, but you are being it. And that's where you have the recognition. The recognition is when there is a recognition of the self, when there is a recognition of what you actually are, it's itself recognizing itself. It's itself recognizing itself. It knows itself already. It doesn't need to know itself. I think it was Rupert Spira recently that quoted a saying that he read in a book, I think, where the person said, the love I have for you, God, or the divine, the love I have for you is your love. If you can grasp the meaning of that statement, the love I have for you is your love. In other words, it's acknowledging that I am you. It's acknowledging that God is not some separate supreme being. God is the human being manifesting in a limited form in order to participate in a time-space life. And in order to do that, right, God has to forget what it is. It's necessary to do that. But it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change that God is God. It doesn't change that you are God. And that doesn't make you special. It makes you ordinary because all there is God. It's like taking water, and if you freeze it into ice, it's still water. So you could say that that's kind of a metaphor for a human life, that you come into this form like water turns to ice, right? And you could say that through meditation and through the teachings that we contemplate and we give our attention to, that the ice melts back to the water. But it's never been anything but the water. Right? You couldn't see what's changing unless you were still. Do you understand? If you were moving at the speed of light, for those of you who understand relativity, right, Einstein's relativity, basically what he said is if you were moving at the speed of light, there would be no time. Nothing would change, right? So you have to be not moving to see what's moving. That's proof that you are the awareness and that it doesn't move. That's how you can see what's moving from that which is not moving, right? So yes, it all works, right? It's non-duality and duality depend on each other to exist, right? Non-duality couldn't be non-duality without duality, right? Otherwise it would be meaningless. You see, it would be meaningless, right? So the thing that they say, and you know, I've been recently looking at Sozen. It's a particular form of Buddhism, and I really like the approach that they take, and the approach that they take because the word Sozen means perfect completion or the great perfection. And what they say, which is consistent with the Advaita and Zen, is that everything is already a done deal. You already are what you are. Reality is already what it is. It's already happening in a way that's beyond what we, as in a human form, can comprehend. And so all that needs to happen is to relax. This is why you hear it spoken often in the teachings. You hear surrender, right? You hear the idea of surrender, you know, to give up the search, to give up the trying to get somewhere, you know, and to let go and let be. You know, whatever you let be, let you be. So that's the practice. You see, when you're practicing meditation, you're practicing letting go. Letting go of what? Letting go of the idea that you have of who you are. Letting go of engaging with thoughts as if it's going to do you any good. To engage with thoughts, as if that's going to get you anywhere. And the thing that is important as far as practicing meditation is concerned is to allow things to be as they are, including you. That's the thing that is often left out. Allow things to be as they are, including you, including your mind, including your past. You know, I think it was the last time here I was speaking about forgiveness, right? And letting go of guilt, you know, letting go of negative self-judgments and so forth. And this is all part of it, you know, to let go of the past and to let go of these negative ideas you have about who you are is to allow yourself to be what you really are. And to be what you really are is to allow even the mind with its judgments and evaluations to do whatever it does. It doesn't need to change it because the freedom comes from seeing it for what it is. You don't have to fight with reality or change reality. All you have to do is see it for what it is. You don't have to change who you are. You don't have to stop being a person. All you have to do is see it for what it is. And if you see it for what it is, it changes your orientation. You're no longer trying to get something to work that's already working. You may become more skillful. You know, they talk in Buddhism about skillfulness, skillful living, skillful means, skillful speech. And so, as D.T. Suzuki said, when he was asked, he's a famous Zen teacher, he was the author of a very famous book called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. When he was asked, well, if we are already who we are and it's already working, we're already perfect, then why do we have to meditate? Why do we have to learn about these things? And he said, you're perfect as you are, and you could stand a little improvement. And that's really the truth. You know, that's the two sides of the coin, right? You're perfect the way you are in terms of the truth of yourself and the essence of yourself. But as a human being in a human life, you could stand a little improvement. And so that's why in these practices, part of the process is that this experience of yourself as awareness itself, this experience of yourself that has the wisdom and the intelligence that is natural to it, can begin to express itself through the personality. But that can't happen unless the personality, right, is seen for what it is actually seen to be the awareness, so that the membrane between the personality and awareness starts to break down and the truth can start to come through. What does that look like? It looks like that you start to have space for other people. You start to have space for life. You start to let things be as they are. You start to let life take care of life. You don't try and change other people. And you express acceptance and love and caring and support for other people. And that's something that is going to take some doing, because the mind will keep coming in and trying to run the programming that's based on survival, that's based on fear. And so it's this transition from fear to love. And the practice of meditation and the ongoing practice of paying attention to the teachings, and the ongoing practice of looking to see the truth of who you actually are, all come together to support this. And so I encourage you to practice meditation every day, but I also encourage you to study the truth. There's so many resources. There are so many resources available now. I often say that there isn't a day or a week that goes by that I don't come across a new teacher who speaks about these things in a little bit of a different way. And this is so helpful, because it's like this truth that we're looking to understand and we're looking to realize is so subtle that it's very helpful to have it pointed to from many different angles, so that when you hear it, when it's being pointed to by Zen, it has one particular angle. When it's pointed to by the Advaita teachings, it has another particular angle. When it's pointed to by the Course in Miracles, it has another particular angle. And so you don't take any of the angles to be the truth, but you keep using them to look at what they point to, so that you can have clarity, so that you can relax. See, that's what happens. The clearer you are about yourself, the clearer you are about the truth, the easier it is to let go and relax. Because you realize that there's nothing necessary, there's nothing required. There's nothing necessary and there's nothing required. You can simply relax and allow yourself to be carried by the truth, to flow with life. And if you do this, if you're able to do this more and more consistently every day in dealing with the situations that arise, then as the inevitable things occur in life, like sickness, old age, and death, you can flow with that too, because it's not unexpected. And you're able to practice letting go. That's one of the things, like, even in your everyday life, when things happen, if you train yourself to pay attention, so you realize when the mind is rattled, you realize when you're going into upset, you realize when you're coming into this reactive state. And at that time, you just let go. You don't try and change it. You just see it for what it is, and you just let go. Let go and stay awake and keep paying attention, right? So that you can express what's there to express, that will be skillful and naturally intelligent and have wisdom. That's what we're up to. And I'm assuming if you've been coming to this class for a while and I hope that if you've been coming to this class for a while, that you've been putting these things into practice, that you've been bringing them into your daily life and dealing with the things that are coming up in your life to experience. Because those things that are coming up in your life to experience are opportunities, given what this practice is all about. It's opportunities for you to realize who you are in the face of the challenges that you're faced with. And if you put these things into practice in your daily life, even with the small things like driving your car in traffic, then you will start to see the difference it makes. And as you see the difference it makes, it keeps bringing light to the possibility. It keeps expanding the possibility so that you find yourself being more and more interested in the teachings and the practice of meditation. So I hope that you allow yourself to notice. See, you're not a bad person if you're not meditating every day. You're not a bad person if you're not going on YouTube and looking at some of these teachings. And it's important for you to let yourself notice whether you are or whether you're not. Not because you're a bad person, because if you're not, right, then the state of mind that you're in and the conditioning is still having its way with you. Do you understand? If you're not, the state of mind you're in and the conditioning is still having its way with you. Because otherwise, it would be natural for you to be interested in continuing to hear these teachings and continuing to practice meditation. Because you would understand the value of it and the importance of it.